What's going on, guys? Hope your day has been fantastic. And in today's video, I have something different for you. Uh, I decided to go ahead and try my hand at making Neo into a D&D character. This was pretty fun to do. I tried to find some sort of balance between practicality and roleplay. I ran into some roadblocks, but overall it wasn't that difficult. It was pretty nice to do. Uh, so yeah, let's just hop right into this. So for your stats, I went with the standard array, and I distributed stats as such. So 10 strength, 15 dex, 12 con, 14 wisdom, 8 intelligence, 13 charisma. So to sort of justify the stats here, Dex is the obvious one. I mean, she is extremely nimble, extremely fast, able to dodge all kinds of attacks and everything like that. Charisma, she's a hottie. Let's be honest, she's a hottie with a body. Uh, she's adorable. So I feel the uh, the charisma is justified there. I don't think she's that smart though. Uh, so that's why she has an 8 in intelligence. I think she's kind of stupid. But oh well. And then wisdom. Uh, kind of hard to justify the wisdom. Well, I can justify the wisdom, but it isn't from a roleplay perspective. And then 10 strength. I mean, you could argue that these should be flipped. 14 strength, 10 wisdom, and I'd agree with you, but uh, we need to keep it as is, and you'll see why. So, on to the race. Obviously, you're going to be a human, a variant human, though, because this is going to help us get things that will help us sort of get more into playing Neo. So, 2 different ability scores of your choice increase by 1. I would recommend Dex and Charisma, so that becomes a 14, and that becomes a 16. You gain proficiency in one skill of your choice. I'd probably go with like Stealth, Deception, maybe Sleight of Hand. I don't know. Acrobatics is one. Maybe Intimidation. I don't know. Whatever you think you might need. And you get. Excuse me. And then you get a feat of your choice. You're gonna go ahead and pick Magic Initiate. I don't recommend anything else other than Magic Initiate, because this is supposed to sort of play into her semblance. So with this, you're just gonna pick a caster class, and you get 2 cantrips from that class. So I pick Sorcerer, and then Minor Illusion and Mage Hand are my cantrips. Minor Illusion because that's supposed to fit into her character, because her semblance is illusion, and then Mage Hand was sort of just a gameplay sort of thing. I put it on there for a reason. You'll see why. Obviously, you can go with whatever, because there's really no other cantrip that I could find that really just works. You could probably find something like uh, resistance, I think. Do sorcerers get resistance? I don't know. Whatever. But that requires your concentration, and I probably wouldn't want to do that. But it's up to you. And you get one first level spell from that same spell list, and you can cast it once per long rest. So you're going to want either Disguise Self or Silent Image. I don't recommend anything else. I prefer Silent Image, and you'll see why here in a second as I'm explaining the build. And then your spellcasting ability is whatever class you chose from. So Sorcerer, that's why our Charisma is also a 14. So kind of working into the practicality plus the role-playing thing, even though the stats don't exactly reflect the character too well. But that's okay. So onto the actual uh, classes you're going to take. You're going to start with Monk. You get proficiencies in. You don't get armor. You get no armor proficiency, but that's fine because Neo does not wear armor. She more so relies on dodging and blocking and parrying with her parasol and stuff like that. You get simple weapons, short swords, uh, artist tools, and a musical instrument. Useless. Not gonna need it because she's not not seen using any kind of tools or instruments. She's not out here singing "This Will Be the Day," so you're not gonna need that musical instrument. Uh, and she can't talk, so oh well. uh, she wouldn't be able to sing that song anyway. She'd be able to play the tune to it, I guess. But and then strength and dexterity are your saving throws, so that's kind of why uh, I didn't want uh I didn't really want strength. I probably would have preferred wisdom uh or charisma, but that's okay. Strength isn't really that good of a saving throw anyhow. So that's why I just put it the dead score there. Um, Dexterity is absolutely important. And then skills, choose two from acrobatics, athletics, history, insight, religion, and stealth. So I would recommend acrobatics and stealth. The other ones are just useless. You could go insight if you really, really wanted to. Um, but I feel like these are better. This is useless. This is useless, and this is useless. And as far as your equipment goes, you're gonna get a short sword, which you can just reskin as a parasol and do a d6 of bludgeoning damage over the d6 of slashing damage or piercing damage. And then for the features, you get unarmored defense. So when wearing no armor and not wearing a shield, your AC equals 10 plus dex plus wisdom. So your AC becomes 15 with the stats that we have. That's pretty great. We're already pretty hard to hit right off the bat. And then you get martial arts, so you can use an unarmed strike along with your monk weapons, which are short swords, any simple weapon that doesn't have a two-handed or heavy property. And a short sword is a finesse weapon, so you can hold it with one hand and use your dexterity to strike with it. And so yeah, it doesn't require two hands. Now Neo is seen in the show using her umbrella with two hands sometimes, but for the most part, she does hold on to it with just one hand. She only really uses two hands when she needs to. Other times, she is just using one hand. So that's fine. I didn't really want to make it a long sword, because then I'd have to change up some stuff, and I think starting with Monk is important. Um, Anyways, so you can you can use Dex instead of Strength for the attacks and damage rolls of your unarmed strikes and Monk weapons. So Dex for everything, which is awesome. You can roll a D4 in place of the normal damage of your unarmed strike or Monk weapon. I wouldn't recommend doing that with your Parasol, but with your unarmed strike, yes, I would do it. Uh, and yeah, that's gonna get higher, but this is the only level of Monk that we're gonna take. Uh, Everything else is just eh. And then when you use the attack action with an unarmed strike or a monk weapon on your turn, you can make one unarmed strike as a bonus action. So you can attack with your parasol, and then as a bonus action, you can do an unarmed strike or a kick, like she does in the show. That is sort of her thing. Kicking, not really punching, which a monk is sort of supposed to represent, is like punching, and kicks are also in there, but Neo mainly does kicks. I don't think I've ever seen her actually throw a punch, which is interesting. But yeah, now that I think about it, I don't think she ever has. So probably wouldn't hurt, which is probably why she uses kicks. Kicks, I feel, are a lot more powerful than punches because she doesn't look like she's the strongest, but whatever it is about those kicks. Well, actually, I don't know. This is a discussion for another day. I'm just gonna end up rambling. Anyways, moving on. Moving on. Fighter 1. Light armor. None of this matters. You're not gonna need it. So moving on. Dueling. So you get +2 damage to your weapon attacks, your weapon damage. You could go with something else other than dueling. I guess you could go with like the one extra AC or the great weapon fighting or whatever. I don't know. I think dueling is better. Just a little bit more damage on top of the unarmed strikes in the or no, with your melee weapon, not your unarmed strikes, but with your melee weapon. So that's awesome. And then second wind, you get a little bit of survivability. Then you're gonna take fighter 2, you get your action surge. You want this early as possible. That's gonna give you 3 attacks right there. Plus, so hit with your parcel. That's going to be a d6 plus dex plus 2. And then you can do an unarmed strike, which is an extra d4 plus dex. So that's awesome. And then you're going to now take your first level of rogue. So again, this actually has better, more useful proficiencies than the fighter, because we get thieves tools and we get a skill. We do choose a skill to be proficient in from this class. So the thieves tools are nice to combo with mage hand, because let's say there's a locked chest or something or a door, and you don't want to get near it. You just mage hand your lockpick over and pick the lock. And then as far as the skill goes, I'd probably go with whatever you really want. I would definitely try to find some way to work deception into this build, whether it be through your background, which I didn't put because we don't know Neo's backstory, so finding a background is kind of difficult. Yeah, she's a criminal, but she could also be she could have been an urchin. She could be a spy for all we know. She could be anything. So that's why I left that out. Um, didn't really couldn't really think of anything that could have gone there, but find a way to put deception into this build somehow. Whether it be through this, your racial feat, your backstory, find a way to put it in there because you're probably gonna need it. Being an illusionist of all, so. And then your expertise, you double your proficiency with 2 skills of your choice or your thieves tools. And then you get sneak attack. So if you have advantage on a target, you get to add a d6 of damage, and that goes up as you take levels in this class. So, and then you have all these rules right here that you can follow. And then you have D-scan, which is useless because Neo can't talk. You could use minor illusion to speak, which is awesome. She can't do that in the show, but this is D&D, so being able to actually communicate with people is extremely helpful. And you're not limited by your mutism. So there you go. It works out. And then Rogue 2, you get cunning action. As a bonus action, you can take the dash as a gauge or the hide action. Now this is where uh, the silent image comes into play. So let's say you attack. Do your now let's say you attack, right? And you want to take the hide action, so you do. You pass your stealth check, so now you're hidden. Now let's say on your next turn you want to throw out a silent image to distract your opponent, and then you stealth up behind them, giving you advantage. At least I think that gives you advantage. Correct me if I'm wrong. That'll give you your sneak attack, and then you do that. You attack your action surge, your unarmed strike, and each time I think you get your sneak attack because you do have advantage. Uh, it just depends on how the rule works, but yeah. Uh, just sort of mimic what she does in the show. Uses her illusions to sort of distract people and then get hidden when she can, or move out of the way of attacks. Um, and then Rogue 3, this is where you get your archetypes with the Swashbuckler. Uh, you when you move out of a creature's range, it doesn't provoke an attack of opportunity. And then you also get Rakish Audacity. You can add your Charisma modifier to your initiative, so another great reason to have pretty good Charisma. And then now you don't need advantage to get your sneak attack, so plus all these other rules, but that's pretty awesome. And speaking of sneak attack, it goes up to a 2d6 this level as well. So, yeah, that's pretty nasty. Good way to get a lot of damage out in just a turn. So, Rogue 4, go ahead and improve your dex. We've gone so long without an ability score improvement. I think it's time. Um, or a feat, I wouldn't recommend it. I'd just max out your dex and your wisdom. But then we're going to take Fighter 3, and then this is where we're going to get our martial archetype. I went with the Battle Master, because there were some things in there that worked for Neo, despite her not really being a soldier. So there's a bunch of maneuvers that you could pick from. I went with Fainting Attack to do more damage, Riposte and Parry to lessen damage. I don't remember what Riposte does. Fainting Attack lets you add superiority die to the damage, and then Parry is there to sort of use superiority die to weaken damage. So, and then some of them have saves. So the save DC is 8 plus proficiency plus strength or dex. So now your dex is not only your initiative and your AC and your damage, but now it's your maneuver save. So that's why you want your dex to be pretty good. I don't know if any of these require a save. I think Riposte does. Don't remember. I think Parry is also a reaction, so we get a reaction now. And then you get Student of War. Whatever. Fighter 4, your ASI, Dex, duh. Fighter 5, you get that juicy extra attack, increasing our damage even further. Fighter 6, you get yet another ASI, and at this point our Dex is 20, so you're just going to go ahead and go with Wisdom, because that's your AC. And then you're going to take, we're going to go back to the Rogue, and get Uncanny Dodge, so now as a reaction we can have damage against us, so now we're harder to kill. And our sneak attack also goes up. Then we get expertise again. So just choose 2 more proficiencies to double. Then at Rogue 7 we get evasion. So we can, whenever we're attacked with an AoE, we can, that requires us to make a dex save. If we succeed on that save, we take no damage. And if we fail, we only take half damage. And I think you could probably add parry into that too. Probably not. I think it has to be a melee attack. But you could probably put Uncanny Dodge to that too, thus fourthing the damage, I think. I'm pretty sure that's allowed. That would make sense. Rogue 8, you get your another ASI, so just Wisdom. And then a Fire 7, you get Know Your Enemy. So you just spend a minute observing um, an opponent outside of battle. And then the DM has to tell you 2 of the following characteristics. Whether they're equal or superior or inferior to you, and with any of these things right here. Pretty useful. I feel maybe Neo would have, would probably try to figure out how to beat her opponent. She somehow knew Yang just sucked at combating kicks, and then when Raven showed up, she ran away. So she probably knows a thing or two about her enemies. So it's not too outlandish to say that this kind of fits. And then Fighter 8, your ASI, your Wisdom, that's going to be your last ASI. So now your Wisdom is 20, your Dex is 20. Fighter 9, you get Indomitable. So if you fail a saving throw, you can re-roll it, which is great. You can work into, you can use this to sort of combo with your evasion and your what's it called? Uncanny Dodge. So, yeah. And then Fighter 10, your superior die become D10s, which is awesome. And then lastly, at Fighter 11 and or level 20, you get the last extra attack. So that's Neo. I feel all of this fits extremely well. The dexterity of a monk and a rogue and a fighter, uh, while all of their dodging and blocking abilities fit into it quite well. And the monk's unarmed sort of combat sort of fits into that as well. Her sort of kicking style. But yeah, there you go, guys. That's Neo, a Neo character build for D&D. Hope you enjoyed. I'll put the link to this document in the description below if you want to pull up with Neo in your in your next D&D campaign. I don't see why not. Do it. Roll your stats, do standard array, whatever. I wouldn't recommend the standard array. I would just roll the stats. You could probably get something a lot better than this, potentially. But yeah, just make sure you follow the guidelines for the stats. Make Dex your priority. Dex and Wisdom your priority. But yeah, with that being said, I will see you all later. Peace out.